All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're super excited to have you joining us or watching it later. We hope you guys had a wonderful Turkey Day, and we have some great guests and interviewee that we're going to be interviewing today, Miss Nancy O'Leary. But first, I want to welcome Kurt Anderson, my partner. How are you doing, Kurt?
Man, I am doing absolutely phenomenal. Happy Friday Eve to our friends out there that are eager for the weekend to get here, right? So, hey, this is awesome. And Sammy Joe, I am thrilled. I am honored to introduce my dear friend, the one, the only Nancy O'Leary from the great city of Chicago. And just for the record, Nancy, not connected or related to that other O'Leary. But how are you today?
I'm doing just fine, Kurt. Sammy Joe, thanks so much for having me. And for the record, Kurt, I know you've heard this, but for anyone that hasn't, Mrs. O'Leary. So yes, I am originally from Chicago, and my mom's whole side of the family are dairy farmers in Wisconsin. So my cousin now runs a dairy farm. So there's a whole complete circle of the cow. And before I married into the name O'Leary, I was a tiny bit Irish, and now I sound extremely Irish.
Yep.
But I was schooled on the true story of Mrs. O'Leary's cow. And I'll just suffice it to say, it was not her cow. It was someone diagonally across the alley. And Mrs. O'Leary was a bit of a troublemaker in the city of Chicago. And she was really starting to annoy the mayor at the time because she was making a lot of demands in terms of initiatives that she thought would move the city forward. And so when the fire broke out and they knew it was in the vicinity of her homestead, his brilliant idea was, well, let's just blame it on her, never realizing that it would have such a long-lasting impact on her name. So she and her cow were completely innocent.
Poor man, what a legacy and to not be guilty. So thank you for clarifying that for any of our Irish friends or any folks in Chicago. So thank you for clarifying that. But Nancy, you're with Custom Direct Incorporated, and you are a marketing superstar for B2B companies, industrial, and our friends in manufacturing. We have tons to unpack, lots to uncover here today. So Sammy Joe, I know you've got a whole slew of great questions. Let's just dive right in for Nancy.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt, and thank you so much for joining us, Nancy. First thing we want to start off with is please share your background and kind of what inspired you to get in the career of helping manufacturers.
Absolutely. So my father was a plastics mold engineer, and after serving in the Korean War and coming back home, he looked for an opportunity for him to really leverage the skills that he had before he served and while he served. And he was very much a hands-on, mechanically minded person. And my father did not attend college. And so he saw even back then, you know, we're talking the 50s, late 40s, 50s, that there were some limited opportunities for him. Not in the sense that we see it today, but at that point, he was looking for something that had room for career growth and for a way for him to ultimately provide for a family. He hadn't met my mom yet or anything. That's another whole fun story we don't have to get into today. But and so he became a press operator, and his career really took off. His hard work, his tenacity, and just his drive really pushed him forward very rapidly. And so with our family of five, you know, my father was able to support all of us and really have a great career that took him to all parts of the world. And so as a child, I really found it interesting that he had this career that I would go with him on Saturdays and go walk the shop floor and what have you, that, you know, he was able to take any object that was made of plastic and explain to us, you know, what the cost was involved in building that, you know, what the material cost was, what the labor cost probably was, how dynamic that mold probably was in terms of being able to make that. And so it just had a resounding effect on me. And so if this was a linear story, I would tell you, oh yeah, so I immediately went into manufacturing myself or marketing for manufacturers, but I did it. You know, my career took some interesting twists and turns, and ultimately wound up with the opportunity to work with the team at Custom Direct. And I was a marketing major, but didn't even use those skills, those learned skills right away. I actually started working in IT right away. And so here we are now, and it kind of all culminated together. And what's so fascinating is Custom Direct has been around for 35 years. And so we've been there through an awful lot of iterations of what marketing means. And digital marketing, and specifically digital marketing with manufacturers, has been our passion for about the last, I'd say, 10 years. And so it's so much fun to be part of the team. And I've been with them for 6.5, 7 years now. So it's just been, it's fun. That whole adage about if you're doing something you enjoy every day, you're not really going to work. That's truly the case.
That's amazing. No, I love that it was kind of like your dad. He inspired you to kind of like get in this space. And it's really evident like how passionate you are to be, able to help manufacturers in your own way. And it might have taken some twists and turns. I mean, what hasn't, but got you to where you are today. And I think that's really exciting. And I wanted to give a shout out to our good friend Bentley, who's listening. He had mentioned fun history lesson in the beginning when we were doing introduction. So thanks for joining us, Bentley.
That was awesome. Nancy, how about this? Did you ever intentionally think like, I want to get into manufacturing? Or did one day you kind of wake up and you're like, oh, Dad, you got me, man. Like I ended up in manufacturing and it kind of subconsciously happened. Like,
so that's a great question. Here's the funny thing. All of my roles were very operations related coming out of college. And I didn't really think about it at the time. I just took the first job. This is probably bad. I took the first job I was offered. And I'm old enough that to apply for a job, you read an ad in the paper and sent a cover letter and your resume through the mail and then waited for a response or a phone call. On the home phone that was on the kitchen wall, and there was just one phone in the house. And so when that offer came through, I grabbed it, and it really had a very operations focus to it. It was actually managing production schedules overseas for a company that made giftware here, a really big name company. And for somebody right out of college with no background in it, I was kind of fascinated they even offered me the job. And I asked them that. Kurt, you're not surprised. I was like, why in the world are you offering this to me? And they said, you know what? We see something. We see there's a spark there that we think this would be really good. And then as luck would have it, I was only on the job a couple months when they were bringing, and this is painful to admit, they were bringing PCs around. So all we had were AS400 terminals at everybody's desk, and they're bringing PCs around. And my boss at the time didn't want a PC because he thought it looked like a word processor or what have you. So he goes, Nance, do you want it? And I said, oh yeah, I'll take it. And I started spending my lunch hours then with the IT department, which were the guys that were implementing the whole system, and really took us by leaps and bounds into what we expect today in terms of inventory management and production scheduling. And so it went from a very hands-on information being exchanged via fax, or here's a term you might not know, telexes. We had a room that just had all those machines in it, to where I was able to just get instant information. And so that had such a huge impact on me, and it really lit a fire in me in terms of operations, and then optimizing operations and really finding those enhancements and those opportunities to leverage not people from a what do I want to say? Like from a rough standpoint, but instead, let's just really look at the time that's involved in some of these processes and where can we streamline things.
Right. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
What I love there, Nancy, it doesn't matter, like, so when you get to a certain age, Sammy Joe, when you catch up to myself, you can look back and, maybe I can't wait to hear see what the technology is that we make fun of this, right? Like just think of like at some point in time, we're going to say like, hey, remember when we had our iPhones or whatever our current technology is, and so like Nancy, we can say like, hey, remember our 8-tracks or our fax machines, all those things. But the thing is, what I love in your story is that you raised when that new technology was coming out. So for, anybody listening to this now, regardless of age, what generation, it's always embracing that new technology. And we're going to dig into that next, especially for manufacturers that sometimes are notoriously, have that reputation of being a little tech resistant. But we want to dive in deeper. So Sammy Joe, what's next on our plate for Nancy?
Yeah. So thank you so much for cluing us in about your background. So now I want to dive into Custom Direct. So tell us a little bit more about Custom Direct and how you provide powerful solutions for the manufacturers that you work with.
Oh man, I could spend the whole 30 minutes on this, but I'll hold back. So at Custom Direct, our team is really driven by growth. And by that, I mean like the growth goals for the folks that we are fortunate to work with. And really, it was working with IMEC. So that's our Illinois MEP, IMEC, Illinois Manufacturing Excellence. It was really through working with them over the last handful of years that we started to really understand impacts. Not that we didn't know them already, but in marketing, you tend to talk about ROI or return on investment. And there was a shift in thinking because the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, that comes through and evaluates projects, for folks that don't know, about a year or so after a project concludes through an MEP, they come through and they really focus on what those bottom line impacts are. And so that was really fascinating terminology and an equation just for us to really stop and think about in a slightly different way. And so we're all in now. So we work with companies that are looking to grow. And that's honestly how we start conversations, which is, someone comes to us and says, you know what, we're kind of hitting a stagnant point. We'd like to go bigger. And we ask, okay, how much bigger? And then we ask really one simple question with a quick follow-up. And that is, do you want to go deep or do you want to go wide? And this analogy works really well during football season. But it's a fundamental question. Do you want more of the same clients you have, or do you want clients that are perhaps outside of who you normally target, maybe with an existing product or service, or maybe you've got a new one? But, it's important in your mindset to kind of gear yourself to what are you looking for. And oftentimes we'll hear, well, I want both. I just want everything. I want to grow. And we say, that's phenomenal. But we love to take an iterative approach. We find that to be very successful. So let's pick one right now. Do you want more of the same, or do you want some new ones? And then the second smaller question is, and how quickly do you want to get there? Because that answer determines the budget. Because naturally we could throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at a project to get someone to their growth goal fairly quickly. But it's going to come at a cost, because there's going to be paid advertising and all kinds of tactics we could throw in. Whereas if someone comes to us right now, this time of year, it's phenomenal because we can project out for the coming year. And by the end of next year, if their growth goal is say 8, 9, 10%, we can talk about, okay, what is that going to look like for those first 90 days and then the next 90 days? And so really, as an organization, that's how we operate ourselves. And that's what we bring to the table for the folks that we work with. I'll throw this brag line in there because I know Kurt's going to. So we just got the results for 2023 for the fiscal year with IMEC. And with one program that we were running, we worked with 9 manufacturers, and NIST came through and measured the impacts, and those impacts were $6.47 million.
Hey, Nancy, can you? I don't think I heard you clearly. Can you repeat that?
6.47 million. So it was 9 manufacturers, 11 different projects, within this one kind of funnel. Yep. And so the average investment was less than $10,000, and the ROI was more than $500,000.
Right. So let's dive in a couple of things here. And so, hey, Bentley, happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve to you, my friend. And this ties in perfectly. And I know we could be here for a couple hours with you, Nancy. And I know we want to dive deep into a really fun program that you launched. We're going to dig into what's called, here's a little teaser, Manufacturing Mavericks. But before we go there, and Bentley, dude, you're reading my mind. I wanted to go here. If they want both wide and deep, how do you help narrow down that focus? Kind of a question I was going to ask, Nance, was like, what are some of those low-hanging fruit opportunities for our manufacturers out there? But let's start with Bentley. If they want both wide and deep, how do you narrow down their focus?
So here's what we ask. We ask which has the better potential, which has the greater potential for success right out of the gate. Yep. We might think, staying within your lane, as it were, staying with that same target audience and going deeper. More often than not, folks think that's the better route to go. But what we found time and again is if it's an organization that's already pretty well saturated in terms of their reach and their brand awareness within that, then it does make sense to jump outside. Where things get really tricky and a little bit more challenging is if you have a brand new product or service that you are now going to either target your existing audience with, or maybe a brand new one. That really gets to be a very robust conversation, to be frank, because you can imagine you're kind of starting from ground zero again, whether you're working with folks that already know you or not, because they don't know you in this capacity. So how do we help them narrow it down? We just start with, okay, tell us, where do you feel you would be more successful and why? Because to be honest with you, as much as we know we say we know this much about, where's the camera? This much about marketing, and we know this much about manufacturing. You know your business better than anyone. So just by asking that question, which one do you think has a better success and why? Oftentimes, by verbally processing, folks can help us, and they'll say, you know what, actually, I was thinking I wanted to stay in the same audience, but no, actually, I know for a fact that what we're doing in food and packaging is going to translate extremely well in wastewater. I mean, it could be completely different, but they know, you just need to ask the question.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, great answer. Absolutely love that. And again, guys, what we strongly encourage you is connect with Nancy on LinkedIn. You want to go to and check out Custom Direct Inc. They do amazing work, all sorts of like high level strategies. And what I love about you, I've learned so much from you, Nancy. And I think a big takeaway, especially on this program here, is that you ask the right questions. It's like you dedicate yourself to being intentional, to like really understanding. It's not a one size fits all. Here's a cookie cutter. Here's what you need to do. It's like you really dig deep to understand your client, the work that they need, and how can you pave the path to get them there. So let's do this, Sammy Joe. We have a really exciting next topic. And again, if you guys want to learn more, connect with Nancy. I know Nancy, you would love to do a little one-on-one deep dive with anybody listening. Yep. But Sammy Joe, let's dive into the next question because we have a really fun topic here.
Yes, I'm excited about this next question and the teaser that you provided. So, as Kurt had previously mentioned, you had launched a very exciting new program to highlight GenZers pursuing a career in manufacturing called Manufacturing Mavericks. Can you share all the details about this new program?
Can I? Oh my gosh, Kurt. I don't know if it's possible. Can we do a screen share? Is it possible to?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. So hit the present button. And I apologize. We should have.
That's okay.
Done a trial run, but hit the present button, and then it will pull up. Either hit your tab or hit your window, and then Sammy Joe, you can just hit the tab just like normal, and then it will pull right up.
Yep.
Okay. And
there we go.
Look at that.
We can see it. Perfect. Yep.
Awesome. So Manufacturing Mavericks. So really quick, in a nutshell, as an agency working with manufacturers, we made a decision at the beginning of this year that we really wanted to commit to Manufacturing Month and the celebration of manufacturing within Manufacturing Month. And so we started talking about what would that mean? What could we possibly do? We're working with our clients usually by midsummer about the initiatives that they're going to be promoting during Manufacturing Month. It could be everything from social media content to collateral for the tours that they're going to be providing or what have you. And so we had some really robust conversations about what this would mean. And what we did was, ironically, we kind of drank our own Kool-Aid. And we said, okay, when we're talking with a client, we ask them, when we're presenting an idea, what are your customers' pain points? And so we asked ourselves, well, what are our customers or our clients' pain points? Well, what's the biggest pain point that everyone's talking about across the board and across the country, really around the world when it comes to manufacturing? It's workforce. And how do we develop a robust workforce funnel? And so we said, okay, let's do what we do best. Let's have some storytelling. And so we are here starting in October, and we were delighted to announce at the end of the month with Kurt as a matter of fact, live, that this is a program or an initiative that's going to be running all year long now. So what Manufacturing Mavericks is, in its essence, I can scroll back up, is it's celebrating that next generation of manufacturers. So in October, each business day in October, we spotlighted a young adult who has chosen a career in manufacturing. They have completed high school and they are within about 5 years or so of doing so. And that was very intentional. We wanted younger folks to be profiled because we are talking about the next generation. And our target audience for this program are students and their parents who may be considering a career in manufacturing, or maybe they're not even considering a career and their parents are saying, what are you talking about? We wanted this to be a great resource for them to come to, a very easy URL to remember, manufacturingmavericks.com, and then to really have a diverse and robust list of mavericks that have very different roles within manufacturing. So I'm just going to kind of scroll slowly. I don't want to give anybody a headache, but you can see each week, each day we introduced a brand new Maverick, both here on the website as well as on social media. We've got a standalone page on LinkedIn for Manufacturing Mavericks. And if you notice at the top right now, the URL does show that this is a microsite within the Custom Direct website. And this is a really cool problem to have. We started this as an initiative, and we thought maybe we would do this each year for Manufacturing Month. Within the first week of launching this program at the beginning of October, we heard from our hosting company that we partner with, and they said, the traffic to your website far exceeds what we have normally set up for you. We think we have to move you to like a standalone situation. And we said, could you give us maybe 6 to 8 weeks, because we're already seeing the excitement with this, and we're going to build a standalone website. And they said, okay, that's fine. And so that's really what we're working on right now. So even now, if you go to manufacturingmavericks.com, it will bring you here. And in the future, it will be the URL. But really quick, I just wanted to mention very briefly, folks asked, how could someone be nominated as a Maverick? And then really, what did that process look like? Well, again, we were pretty intentional. We did not put a link out there for everyone to go and apply, because frankly, we wanted folks within a certain age, which I realize, that could bother some folks. But the other thing was, we really wanted people that were working on the shop floor, that were working in manufacturing. And it was a pretty straightforward nomination form. And there were 2 questions that the Maverick had to answer. And they needed to be nominated by someone in their company. They had to answer why they chose a career in manufacturing and what their career in manufacturing has meant for them in their lives. And I'll be really honest, we were just looking for a pull quote. We wanted like 1 or 2 sentences that we could put up here underneath their picture and under the company. And what we got back was so insightful and so heartfelt that we realized we had completely missed the boat on that. And we decided we were putting the entire answers down. And so you'll see they're all more or less the same size. And then we have the click to read more. And you can see that these answers are just incredibly insightful. We also have the education. So for folks that are continuing on, attending another institute or community college. And then we also provide the backstory, which helps you understand just a little bit more about the company that they work for and what those apprenticeships or internships might look like at that company. Each of the companies is also hyperlinked here. So you can see there's like a little pop, and then you can go to it. But anyway, a couple of our Mavericks are already in the news outside of Mavericks. Cassie is being featured in an Amazon Prime series called The College Tour for the college that she's attended. And David has also been profiled a number of times now through a very robust program at a local community college here called College of DuPage. And really quick, I won't get into it, but resources. Beyond profiling the Mavericks, this website also provides tremendous amount of resources in helping students and their parents understand where they can get more information about some of these programs that are offered through the community colleges.
Absolutely brilliant. So first off, big round of applause for Nancy for this initiative at Custom Direct Inc. And just what an admirable choice that you pursued here. And just, from a marketing standpoint, from a traffic standpoint, from an outreach standpoint, you're highlighting, potential customers for you. So many, like there's so many avenues. And so, for folks out there listening, you guys just having the creativity, the innovation, the guts and the courage to just say, hey, we're going to do this. And it wasn't a massive investment, right? And it's your superpower. It's what you get, like you guys just saw, like, if you need website help, reach out to Nancy, because you just saw a nice taste of a beautiful website. But just what a great, amazing initiative and such success. What turned into 1 month is now turning into 12 months. So big round of applause for you, Nancy, and for your team, and for the commitment for our young people and future generations in manufacturing. Very inspiring. And I just couldn't applaud you enough for what you've done.
Thanks. And, there's just so many organizations out there that are helping businesses start apprenticeships or internships. We're working with high schools to develop these programs, to kind of connect the dots. And folks just don't know about them. And oftentimes, not that we don't love acronyms in marketing, there's just a lot of acronyms involved. Right. And so ironically, we were insistent. It had to be an easy to remember name, and the URL had to be identical. We weren't truncating anything. We weren't simplifying it.
Right.
And so really that's going to be the push moving forward is, trying to get that word out. We're meeting with different school districts. And right now we've just been more or less within the state of Illinois. And our goal for next manufacturing month will be that this program is national. And we plan to have Mavericks from across the country. And that's really an integral part of that standalone website that we're building, because there's going to be some really robust search and filtering capability on the site. So while the experience will look a little similar, it's going to be much deeper. You're going to be able to search Mavericks by what state they're in, by what community college they might be attending, by what company they work for, as well as those resources are going to be really built out.
Well, I love that. It's almost like the home builder putting out that, perfect, beautiful demo home. And so now you actually even get to show off your work. So I know we're going to be coming into time here, Sammy Jo. I'm going to slide in here real quick. Nancy, could you we talked about the MEP, and you did, what was that number again?
6.47 million.
For folks out there listening, why, you're a third party provider in Illinois, working with the Illinois MEP, and of course you have the opportunity to work with other MEPs. Just share quickly quickly, why should listeners be reaching out to the Alaska MEP, or if they're coming to us from another state, why should they be reaching out to their MEPs?
Oh my gosh. You know what? So I think that it's one of the best kept secrets. And I know that there's a book that maybe has a title that's similar to that. But really, we host events where we get to meet with manufacturers in different communities. And the first thing that we talk about are the MEPs. And specifically here in Illinois, we'll talk about the Illinois MEP. And it never fails to amaze how many manufacturers are just not aware of the tremendous resources that are available to them. Naturally, we're kind of in those growth initiatives. But when it comes to ERPs, whether you've got one or you'd like one, if it comes down to what in the world have you got going on connecting your ERP, your CRM to your, I don't even know what else we could talk about connecting it in with. But I mean, there's so much knowledge that's available to manufacturers from their state's MEP that whether the programs are fully funded or partially funded, or maybe not funded at all, but there's resources there, and there's so much valuable information that I love it. I mean, I look at it, and this is kind of a stupid analogy maybe, but it's almost like having your own personal trainer that is there, that's going to understand where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, and help you get to where your goal is. I mean, that's really how I see MEPs.
Well, I love it. And I know Sammy Jo, we've got like just a couple minutes left. If you want to grab one more question, and I think we have time for like one shorty, and then we'll wrap it up.
No, thank you so much, Nancy. That was so exciting and inspiring. I just want to echo what Kurt was saying, learning all about manufacturing Mavericks. Oh my gosh, that is just, what a great idea. What a great opportunity. I know I was taking notes, and I'll be checking that out later, because that is just super cool to be using the future generation of manufacturers. And then thank you so much for mentioning the MEP. I know we really love getting to work with manufacturers and getting able to help them reach their goals. The last question we like to wrap things off with is, what are you most excited about for 2024?
I was thinking about this question because you guys kind of gave me a clue, like, I need to talk about next year. Here's what I'd say. I would say, I work very intentionally at focusing on the positive. And there are many things that have folks concerned about the coming year, just across the board. And what I'd say is this: we are seeing such a reawakening and embracing of manufacturing, not only as a homegrown industry here in the United States, but also folks taking a look at it in terms of a career. And across the board, there are so many programs. I keep saying across the board, but it really is wide sweeping. There are so many programs that are available and organizations that can help companies grow their workforce. Be sure to reach out. I mean, reach out to your MEP. We're learning so much just through this initiative, through the Department of Labor. They've got offices in every single state that you would kind of expect, but they've got offices that specifically work with manufacturers and help them with incorporating some sort of an apprenticeship or an internship. And that's what I'm excited about. I feel like there's kind of a renaissance going on, and maybe it's been going on for a while and we just weren't aware of it. And we tend to hear the real downer numbers, that there's going to be this silver tsunami and all these folks are going to be retiring and we're not going to have enough folks. I'd like to flip it on its head and say, but we are making such strides with helping this next generation understand what a richly rewarding career can look like. And it looks like it in manufacturing.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to throw in real quick, I know I'm supposed to be quick. All of our Mavericks have different roles, like I mentioned. Some are similar, but the one thing that they all mentioned is that their career in manufacturing has such an incredible positive impact on their lives. And they see their work family as a second family, that they are so thoroughly supported, challenged at times, and that they feel like they're at home when they're with those folks. And as a parent, what else would you want to hear your child say when they're thinking about pursuing a career in any industry?
Absolutely.
Drop the mic on that right there. So, hey, Nancy, first off, thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for sharing your passion, your energy, your expertise today. This is just off the charts amazing. Appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you've done through the, for the MEPs and what have you. It's just been wonderful. Thank you for sharing this time together. Sammy Joe, takeaways, what do you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Nancy. This was fabulous. I super enjoyed hearing all about manufacturing Mavericks and how excited the future looks for 2024. And I'm super excited about going national. I will be on the lookout for that. That is just super incredible opportunity. And I really appreciate your time to come and join us after Thanksgiving and this weird week to come and be here and talk to our clients and our manufacturers and really just showcase your skill set and how you can provide and help them. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone that's listening, whether you're listening now or you're going to catch it in the future. If you need help connecting with Nancy, I'm happy to get you connected with her, but we'll make sure her website is down below so you'll be able to reach out to her. And we do this every other Thursday. So tune with us next Thursday. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.